Gonna try and keep this intro short. I really like Payday 2, and ever since the Iceberg explanation video started getting popular last year, I always wanted to do one for Payday 2. But it was kinda hard finding an Iceberg that wasn't filled with memes or creepypasta level fake stuff. That was until I found this very large Iceberg image made by Reddit user VeggieBLT. And on top of the image, I also want to thank Veggie for giving an explanation to almost everything on this iceberg. Seriously, I don't think I would have been able to cover half the stuff on here if it wasn't for you. Also, some of the stuff that I will be talking about, especially the things more towards the bottom, I'm most likely going to end up copying and pasting what Veggie wrote in his post, just to save on time, and well, he could probably describe them better than I ever could. I'm also gonna assume that you all know what an iceberg shot is, so I'm not gonna go into what it means. If you don't know, I don't know, ask your dad or something. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and let's get to it. Two Hoxtons. This may sound interesting, but it really isn't that much. Simply put, you're able to play as Hoxton while doing the Hoxton breakout heist. So basically, you're saving Hoxton as Hoxton. Dancing animations. There exists unused animations of civilians pole dancing. In order to trigger them, you need to have either the HoxHUD mod or the standalone HoxDelicious mod from the Mod Workshop website, and type in HoxDelicious into the game chat. Both mods are very outdated and it doesn't seem to work on the current updates, so I do not know how else to trigger the animations again. Though you can view them on YouTube. Giant Toothbrush and Almir's Toast. On the Panic Room heist, there exists 12 different unique places for a giant toothbrush to spawn at. The toothbrush is lootable and once successfully secured, can reward you with a lot of money, up to $4.1 million if you're playing on the highest difficulty. The toothbrush itself is an old reference back to even the first Payday game, after YouTuber UberHaxNova infamously reacted quite a bit to the size of a toothbrush. And Almir's Toast is another lootable item on the White Xmas heist and can be found from one of the many different gifts that are scattered around the map. If successfully secured, you can be awarded up to $2.3 million if playing on the highest difficulty. The item itself is a reference to another YouTuber, but rather Almir Listo, one of the lead producers of Payday 2. Apparently he really likes cheese on toast, I guess. Pro Jobs. Pro Jobs were a heist that was significantly more difficult than usual. They would randomly pop up on the CrimeNet heist booking screen with the words Pro Job written in red above the heist. Also, unlike the other heist, you only had one chance at completing a pro job. If you failed, the contract will terminate itself and disappear from the contract booking screen. Pro jobs ended up being removed from the game sometime in 2016 because apparently not a lot of players did pro job contracts and they weren't really that balanced either way. MF Steve. On the armored transport train job, you can find a clipboard with the words MF Steve's clipboard on it. And on the Alesso heist, the booth guy has the words MF Steve or Stev printed on the back of his t-shirt. Not sure who this is a reference to, as I couldn't really find anything about that. I'm just gonna guess that it's someone that overkilled, maybe one of the level designers. Overdrill. On the first World Bank heist, there is a puzzle that you and your teammates have to collectively figure out together how to solve in order to find a secret vault filled with gold. But first, you have to drill through it by waiting 2,000 seconds. No, I'm not even joking. This little secret was first featured in Payday Heist, though that one was more of a big puzzle that expanded multiple heists, with it in the end ending up in the first World Bank heist. The TF2 Sentry. On the transport train heist, one of your objectives is to secure a few turret parts prototype. Obviously, the turret is based on a level 1 sentry from the game Team Fortress 2. 7-day heists. When you are on the planning screen of a heist, you can see the line of numbered days, meant to represent how many days a certain heist can last. Since this reaches day 7, people have thought that this meant that at some point, we were going to get heists that would last for as long as 7 days. However, Overkill themselves have stated in the past that they have absolutely no interest or plans to add heists to last more than 3 days. So why does it show 7 days and just not 3? Maybe it's for aesthetic reasons. Every mask is personalized. I mean, yeah, I guess. I know this is just a meme, but to be fair, the masks can be personalized. Yeah, there's really nothing much to it. Houston is Dallas's brother. It has been more or less confirmed that both Houston and Dallas are siblings, and there are two reasons of why. The first reason is obviously in their names. Not only are there cities in Texas named Houston and Dallas respectively, Houston is also considered as the brother city of Dallas. The second reason comes from whenever Houston will shut down Dallas to get off. He will often call him brother, something that neither Houston or Dallas does to anyone else in the crew. The Crime Fest fiasco. Gonna try and keep this one brief, but basically Crime Fest was a yearly event for Payday 2 where players would get brand new stuff like heists, weapons, heisters, and etc. However, players will only receive one new thing each day for about a week or so. During the 2015 Crime Fest, on day 1 no less, Overkill introduced the safe and drill system, or as literally any other online game would call it, microtransactions. This caused a big uproar within the community. And because of how angry the players were, even the media started writing articles about the whole thing. Now, if you're curious to know why people may have overreacted a bit, they really weren't. The players were lied to when it came to microtransactions, since Overkill had previously stated that they wouldn't implement it at all. The rest of Crime Fest 2015 was completely ruined because of this, though Overkill did go forward with their schedule for the event, and later on the safe and drill system will be removed and has now made it possible for players to just pull skins off the cash payout screen. The Ballad of Bobblehead Bob. Bobblehead Bob is a name given to an otherwise unnamed civilian who has appeared not only in-game, but also a few of the DLC trailers. His first trailer appearance is in the Big Bank Heist, where after trying to get a loan to start a company to make Bulldozer Bobblehead, he is taken hostage by the crew, suffers what I can only imagine is some sort of Stockholm Syndrome, since he helps out the crew by first reviving a downed Dallas and signaling the getaway helicopter. The trailer ends with Dallas from the helicopter throwing a bundle of dollars to Bob, he is unable to properly catch it, and ends up falling off the roof. In the Hoxton Breakout trailer, he is seen walking in the background with crutches and bandages wrapped around his head. In the Christmas Carol video, he is seen being stampeded by a horde of fleeing civilians. He is also spotted in the Butcher's Western Pack DLC trailer, seen as a suspect on the corkboard in the FBI Files trailer, and finally, now you can find him in your safe house serving drinks at Jimmy's Bar. Train Heist Explosive Ammo. When the Train Heist was first released, the ammo for the turret would explode if you threw them. Also, at the time, there were about 40 turret ammos that you had to bag secure. Also, the truck wasn't a viable method, so you pretty much had to throw them down the hill, to which, as I stated, would make them explode. So I guess we should be happy that it isn't like that anymore. Ulmir Mask. No, this isn't about Ulmir's beard, but rather this mask formed to look like Ulmir's face. It's one of the rarest and lesser known masks in the game, as the only way to obtain it was to buy one of those loot boxes and hope it came with a kawaii bulldozer keychain, which was rather rare at the time. The keychain itself included a code which held Ulmir's clown mask, and by the sounds of it, it looks like a few Payday 2 content creators were given codes for the mask to be given away to the viewers as well. Election Day Plan C. If you tag the wrong truck during Election Day and still escape, instead of going to the warehouse filled with ballot boxes, you instead pull a bank heist seen nowhere else in the game under the guise of destroying the ballot boxes on the way to your loot, forcing a recount and another chance at rigging the election for the elephant. The Kataru. The Kataru are an ancient secret society made of government figureheads and criminals dabbling in the arcane and running the world from the shadows. Some notable members are the Murky Water and the Dentist. Originally, it was an alliance of 3 kings who shared control of the world with some all-powerful item. In 1814, with the burning of the White House, a watcher who was a member of the court for one of the kings, named Baldwin, attempted to steal an artifact that was the source of their power, which would be called Baldwin's Lament, and disappeared. As in, Baldwin disappeared. As a result of this event, the alliance collapsed into a power struggle, and the Lament was either hidden away or split up. Counterfeit Stealth. At one point, it was possible to do the counterfeit heist on stealth despite it being labeled as a loud-only mission. You would have to do a whole glitch that I guess messes with the game's AI or something so that it prevents the mission from going loud. I have absolutely no idea, but what I do know is that this was actually recently patched and can no longer be stealthy. Cops might be a clone army. This is a theory more so about the number of cops you face when playing on higher difficulties. I mean, hey, I believe it. The web series. The web series was a 6-episode advertisement for the then upcoming game Payday 2. Yeah, nothing more to add to this really. Diesel engine problems. So you know the many different bugs and glitches and errors that you have inevitably come across, like being pushed out of bounds or just surfing the shield carriers? Well, most of them can be blamed on the engine that the game runs on, which is called the diesel engine. Don't worry, we'll get back to the diesel engine talk soon enough. Shanes is in a pickle. A classic meme right here. Whenever Shanes would be downed in-game, Bane would have a chance at shouting, "Shanes is in a pickle!" The meme got so popular, Overkill themselves had Damien Point, the voice actor for Shanes, perform a parody of It's Tricky by Run DMC titled Shanes is in a Pickle. From what I have also read, the voice line has either been completely removed from the game, or is just really rare to hear now. Payday posters in Hardcore Henry and John Wick. In one of the scenes for Hardcore Henry, you can see a poster featuring the Payday gang, and in John Wick, you can see the posters of the mask for Chains, Wolf, and Houston. Old meth formula. Right now, when Bane tells you what to add in Rats and Cook-Off, you have to wait a few seconds for him to check if he's right, and if he doesn't check himself, you're good. Prior to update 89, he could just straight up get it wrong. Players had to have a whole spreadsheet open, or someone who had memorized all the lines to actually know and translate what Bane was saying. Some examples includes Bane telling you to add a specific ingredient, when in reality you had to add another specific ingredient, and Bane just straight up not even telling you what to add. Duplication glitch. With all items that you can pick up and store as an inventory item, like thermite paste, keycards, and gas cans, if 2 players picks up an item at the exact same time, then congrats, you and your friend have successfully duplicated an item, and you both now have it at your disposal. And depending on the item that you pick up and the heist you're doing, loud or stealth, you can get some pretty good use for the items, like duplicating keycards on Shadow Raid. Jacket has 3 arms. Jacket is weird, but one thing about him is that he must have 3 arms. This is because since Jacket uses a tape recorder to communicate, and knowing he uses both hands to operate a firearm, it is believed that he has in fact 3 arms, and by technicality, he may also have 5 arms if he's using a ladder while using the tape recorder and holding his weapon. Either that, or he has a set of spider legs. The COP pack/safes. The Completely Overkill pack was a $20 DLC available during the Hype Train Spring Break event that gave you 4 unique mega masks for the main 4 heisters. Only 50,000 were allowed to be sold, but buyers were also promised a quote-unquote special rare item in the future. That ended up being a single unique safe and drill later on, which could still net you a battle-worn and broken-in skins. People were a little peeved to say the least. Overkill tried to appease the buyers in a bunch of ways. First, they included DLCs to the pack so that no matter what skin you got from the save, you could use them in-game, and later on, they added 10 exclusive mega masks. Considering the extremely limited run, this is probably one of the rarest content pack in the entire game. The Long Guide. Believe it or not, this is actually one of those rare cases where the guide section on Steam is used for what it's meant to be used for. This is one of the best, if not the definitive guide to playing Payday 2. Just about everything is answered in it, such as weapon stats, amount of XP earned from specific heists, and just how exactly stealth works, amongst other things.
Yeah, nothing wrong here.
ricochet miniguns. Sorry, I couldn't find anything on this. I did notice something in the next tier that may be what it's referring to, but if it isn't, please let me know what this one is about if you know it. Thank you. Achievement drills. Before saves and drills were removed from the game, there were 2 achievements that would award you with a pair of save and drill if you completed them. These are called O Ticket and Pork Royale. To earn the O Ticket achievement, you would have to find the Titan safe on the First World Bank heist, drill it open, collect a special item inside, and escape. This achievement would also award you the First World Drill and Safe. For the Pork Royale achievement, you would have to find the pig marked with the X during the slaughterhouse heist and secure it on the overkill difficulty or higher. This would also reward you the Slaughter Safe and Drill. Now it no longer awards you these saves and drills, however, you are still able to get the achievements. Infinite Skill Points. During the beta of update number 100 and the complete rework of the skill trees, Overkill was changing things daily and it left a few interesting glitches. One of them was Cable Guy being used as a filler in 2 slots. If you bought one, it would fill both of them. If you sold one, you kept the other. Sell that as well and you had twice as many skill points as you put in. Repeat as needed and you can max out every skill tree. This only lasted a few days though. Hotline Miami Day 2 Fire Glitch. On Day 2 of the Hotline Miami heist, if you don't turn on the sprinklers after a helicopter attack, the fire will make all the police AI avoid the entire center room and never touch the drill, making the fight much easier. This becomes even more easier if you equip some heavy armor and use a dodge perk for whenever you need to restart the drill. Shotgun Pellet Damage. Shotgun damage is actually calculated differently from most games. Instead of each pellet adding up damage, each shot has set damage and a single pellet hitting will calculate the same as every single pellet hitting. The lower accuracy, the better, so you hit more than one target with each shot. Patient becomes a smoker. In the No Mercy heist, the patient whose blood you drain starts to decompose with every few drains, and by the end of the heist will have the distinct look of a Left 4 Dead infected and make smoker idle sounds while on the table. Payday 2 Text Adventure. This is a browser-based game made by Overkill. In this game, you play through a short story with Dallas and the crew. Also, for a little while, the game held secret codes in which, if activated, will give you some secret masks, with them now being a bit rare to come by. We'll discuss one of these masks later on. Missing Baby Driver DLC. When asked on Twitter by a fan when the Baby Driver DLC would come out for Payday 2, the director of the Baby Driver movie, Edgar Wright, responded with an answer nobody really expected. He stated that there was going to be one and he had talked with Overkill about this. However, the DLC ended up being canned because of the movie's release month being moved from August 2017 to June 2017, which most likely wouldn't give Overkill enough time to make a DLC without it seeming outdated or something along that line. Cameras control police activity. If you destroy the security cameras in Payday the Heist, it effectively acts as a pseudo-stealth, and cops will have a harder time finding you on the map in locations where cameras are destroyed. Some people believe this is also something you can do in Payday 2, though considering there are much more cameras and heists in that game, this is most likely not true or very hard to pull off. Hell's Island Jump. I had no idea about this or what it meant. Apparently there was an exploit where you could skip the drill section of the Hell's Island heist by doing a very precise jump. Again, I did not know about that until just looking at the Iceberg, though the exploit has since been patched. Easy difficulty in Payday the Heist. By default, the lowest difficulty you can play Heist on in both Payday the Heist and Payday 2 is normal. For most people, it is seen as an easy difficulty because it kinda is. However, even though it appears nowhere in Payday 2, there do exist heists in Payday the Heist that has the easy difficulty. Those heists in specifics are the First World Bank and Heat Street. They are mostly there for absolutely new players. Star VR. Bo Anderson is the former CEO of Starbreeze. He's also a bit of a, as the British would say, a knobhead. As it turns out, Bo used a lot of money that Overkill made to create Star VR, a virtual reality headset similar to the likes of Oculus and Vive. However, unlike those two, Star VR's main selling feature is that it had widescreen support. Oh, and it cost over $3,000. Yeah, as you probably could imagine, this didn't go over very well, and after shifting the losses by advertising to enterprises instead of consumers, they are still recovering from their losses. Heister had perspective. Due to the previously mentioned diesel engine and its limitations, perspective isn't a thing that works too great in Payday 2. If you get too close to another heister, like really close, but you don't go through them all the way, your own hand and arm models stay the same, while their face starts to look like you're staring at the Statue of Liberty. Old tier bonuses. Back before update 39 and the addition of perk decks, you received a bonus going high enough up one skill tree. When removed, they were either folded into being automatic bonuses in perk decks, added as skills, or just removed entirely. The Dentist's Age. In the trailer for the Diamond Heist, a mysterious shadowy figure can be seen throughout the different historical events where things goes wrong. Obviously, in some scenes, we can see that it is the dentist. By technicality, the dentist is at the very least around 90 to 100 years old, since he may have been involved with the death of Hitler, but could be as old as 800 years old if he was involved with the death of the Khans. Classic Heist Time Paradox. When First World Bank was first re-released, the setup was hitting it again. This made it still fit in within the timeline as Overdrill is important to the story as explained earlier. The same was done with Heat Street where, oh man, how did we end up chasing Matt Roscoe through this alley again? However, other heist remasters have no story setup, implying we never did the Panic Room, Slaughterhouse, Counterfeit, or Undercover before Payday 2. This is important because it causes a huge time paradox with Hoxton's capture. As mentioned in the Merry Payday Christmas album, Hoxton was caught with his fingerprints in the Panic Room. The Wordsmith. After the mess of a story that was the Payday 2 timeline, by the time we were reached the Hardcore Henry heist, it was almost impossible to put together anything coherent resembling a real story. No possible secret ending could make sense. Nothing could fix this until Overkill employee Wordsmith stepped in. They wrote pretty much everything from Alaskan Deal and onwards, fixing every major plot hole and giving us a truly legendary puzzle to solve together to get to the Payday 2 secret. So, in other words, Wordsmith saved Payday 2, or at least its story. Hoxton's multiple actors. It's no surprise that the cast of Payday 2 have gone through a few actors, but by far the person with the most changes is Hoxton. In Payday the Heist, he was portrayed by Richard Bloom, but voiced by Pete Gold, and then he was portrayed by Josh Lenn, but still voiced by Pete Gold in Payday 2, and then he was portrayed by someone in the Hardcore Henry trailer, while yet again being voiced by Pete Gold. Jacket's stolen identity. According to the FBI files, our jacket might have been the very same one from Hotline Miami, but it is also loosely suggested that the Payday 2 jacket is a separate individual inspired by the character's MO. Dennis Wedeen of Denaton Games left the relationship between the two up in the air when asked about it. During the Safe House Nightmare heist, one of the hallucination lines when playing as Jacket is your voice recorder saying, "You're not Jacket." Though we don't know if this heist is canon or not, but considering a Hotline Miami arcade cabinet is in his room at the safe house, he could very easily just be a fan of the game. Payday 2 runs on a racing engine. As I mentioned previously, the diesel engine is a mess. That's because it's literally on a racing game engine. Ballistics was a 2001 game made by Grin, which would later become Overkill, set in the future where you literally race with a ball around cylindrical tracks. Kinda like a 360 F-Zero game with wonky physics, which is so ironic you couldn't even come up with anything more stupid
considering that Overkill would later have problems implementing cars into Payday 2 on a game engine for racing. Clover helped in Hoxton's breakout. On the Hoxton Revenge heist, you can find a corkboard that shows Clover as a part of the team that raided the FBI building during Hoxton's breakout, even though she wouldn't be released until a few months later with the Diamond Pack. Bane vapes. Bane vapes. That's it. Car shop could be rushed with one more C4. Very simple this one. If the Payday crew brought with them just an extra C4 during the car shop heist, they could have used that extra C4 on the door to the key room, grab the keys, get in, and start the cars, and then blow up the road to escape. The Pen, a secret melee weapon added on day 8 of the Search for Kanto event. You had to either get the code from the Steam forums or from a secret website. Minigun Speed Boost. When the minigun was first introduced, it had a speed penalty that slowed players down. But when the CrimeFest 2015 weapon rebalance hit, they removed the speed penalty, but forgot to remove the modifications that added a negative value to the removed speed penalty. Basically what that means is, well, with the correct set of weapon mods, you could turn yourself into the Payday equivalent of Sonic. This was fixed very quickly after discovery. Henry's Rock is Hangar 51. Hangar 51, not to be confused with Area 51, was a military installation located in Nevada from the different Indiana Jones movies. Both Hangar 51 and Henry's Rock are basically the same location because of not only the fact they're both very massive, but also because you can find the Ark of the Covenant from Indiana Jones in Payday 2. Senator Mario in a top hat. If you spent a little time watching Payday 2 related videos on YouTube, you already know who Mario in a top hat is. But if you don't, he is a YouTuber who primarily makes short Payday 2 meme videos and often streams on Twitch. His name can be seen on the scrolling news bar at the bottom of the FBI Files trailer. Just a sweet little reference to a content created by Overkill. April Fool's Ricochet. Payday 2 has some really good April Fool's jokes. In 2017, we got possibly the most fun April Fool's joke to date, as Overkill had applied Ricochet to every single gun. Yes, this includes RPGs, grenade launchers, and miniguns. Now, of course, this was just an April Fool's joke, so one day later on April 2nd, the ricochets were removed. The elephant was the original Hardcore Henry contractor. Within the game files of Payday 2, you can find hints indicating that originally the contracts for the Hardcore Henry pack was supposed to be given by the elephant. Overkill Headquarters Police Raid. In 2018, Starbreeze and Overkill were for real raided by Swedish police on suspicion on insider crimes, suggesting the arrest was made due to insider trading. Funny thing is, this happened only a few days after Bo Anderson had gone on vacation. Yes, Bo got caught insider trading and went to prison. He was later investigated and was found not guilty, but Starbreeze still cut ties and found himself a new CEO. The $500 Alienware Mask. In Payday 2, there are two different types of Alienware masks. I will be specifically talking about the Alienware Alpha Mask. It is a very rare mask and can no longer be obtained. In the past, there were 3 possible ways you could obtain this mask. 2 of these ways were if you either won a make your own heist contest or the Payday ASCII art contest. But the more common way for people to have obtained it was to simply play Payday 2 on an Alienware Alpha computer, which cost around $500, thus the $500 Alienware mask. You can still play the game on one, but you won't be awarded the mask anymore. Vlad in the Safe House. Something you may not know, cause I certainly didn't until now, Vlad can be seen in your safe house, but only until you complete the Diamond Heist and the Golden Grain Casino. After that, he will disappear, never to be seen again in the safe house. Shadow Raid Helicopter Exploit. An exploit still possible to do. Before the helicopter spawns in, simply stand on this side of the heliport during the Shadow Raid heist, and when the helicopter spawns in, it will 100% of the time spawn with a container bringing more stuff for you to steal. The exact same thing can be done if you stand on the container spot instead, and when the helicopter spawns in, will drop off at the heliport and thus spawning in more guards. Lucy was here. On a few different heists, including Aftershock, Santa's Workshop, and Alesso, you can find the words Lucy was here. This is a self-reference from one of the level designers who helped make these heists. Witch in Safe House Nightmare. In Safe House Nightmare, there are 4 baby masks that need to be collected, one for every difficulty originally in the game, so about up till Overkill. If you interact with the right mask for the difficulty you are playing on, you get an achievement and a mask. But if you select the wrong one, a Left 4 Dead witch appears for a split second in front of you before you immediately get downed. Dr. Crowbar. On one of the lab coats on the No Mercy heist, the name Dr. Crowbar can be seen. This is a little reference to Gordon Freeman for the Half-Life games. Hoxton's real name is Jim. In the trailer for The Dentist, he pulls out a paper with the transport plan for inmate Jim Hawksworth, leading to the possibility for Hoxton's real name. However, as it is with the crew, this could be another pseudonym for Hoxton. Your opinion, my choice. These are the infamous words of Bo Anderson in response to fans complaining about the old flashbang mechanic when they would just spawn in front of your field of view a fraction of a time before exploding. He told people that if they couldn't handle something that was made the way it was intentionally, then he would consider making a baby mode difficulty, and that it was also your opinion, my choice, when it came to his decisions on the flashbangs. Of course, this wasn't to last, and the flashbangs were eventually changed. Trashley's giveaways. Ashley was a Steam forums moderator with a rather mixed reputation, and took it upon herself to be an overkill outreach for the 4chan General Video Games Payday 2 thread. Things obviously weren't great at first, and she got the nickname Trashley, but everything kinda turned around when she started dropping codes, which eventually overlaid to certain kinds of images to stop scalpers, and /PDG became a secret hangout to get cool stuff from Trashley. Fire damage calculation. In older builds of the game, for a while after fire was first introduced as a weapon, it would calculate every tick of damage as a kill, and on the results screen, it would say that someone who had used a fire weapon had killed thousands of cops, when in reality it's not even close. This of course doesn't happen anymore. Skull dozers aren't fully human. In Garrett's notes on the FBI site, he states, "I'm still not even sure if they're fully human," and instead calls them drug-enhanced cyber warriors. This has led to the obvious speculation that skull dozers aren't human. Baldwin under the White House. As stated by the dentist in one of his lines during the secret ending, the skeleton in the pyramid room under the White House is in fact that of Baldwin, the watcher that tried to seize the power of the kings and died because of it. Clover's old voice actress is Bonnie's. Back in 2014, when Overkill released a Happy Birthday CrimeNet video, it was also the first time we saw and heard Clover as she sings Happy Birthday. In that video, she was voiced by Sean Brennan, who ultimately ended up not voicing Clover, but instead later on Bonnie. When the trailer for the Diamond was released and Clover herself being a playable character in the game, she was portrayed and voiced by Alfie Duffin. The M41A Pulse Rifle. On Halloween in 2015, people found the unused reload animation for a gun that, when paired with the gun already in the game, didn't fit at all. That was until somebody used that reload animation on the M41A Pulse Rifle from the Aliens game, and it matched up perfectly. Some people believe that the Pulse Rifle was supposed to be added, but ended up being scrapped, or there was going to be some sort of Aliens DLC for Payday 2, neither of which have been fully confirmed or denied to this day. The Nephilim. On the Shacklethorne auction heist, if you look outside on the back porch and into the thundering distance, you can occasionally see an absolutely giant figure, as tall as a skyscraper, known as the Nephilim. They are a group of mysterious figures most often found in the Hebrew Bible. They can also be found on the different paintings and what seems to be a smaller Nephilim skull inside the tube on Henrik's rock heist. So yeah, since we stole the Ark of the Covenant, it is safe to say that not only are the cops after the crew, but so are the giants. Electric Center Drop Rate. During the beta of Payday 2, the Electric Center mass pattern was, as it is right now, just a drop you could get from a card payout screen. but for some reason the rarity value was bugged and basically every single card pull was just the electric center pattern, even if you pulled a weapon mod or a cash card. So everyone got the electric center pattern over and over again. It will later be fixed, and as a joke, Overkill decided to make the pattern as an infamous rarity item. The Anti-Sphere Pack. In 2017, there was a tie-in promotion for the game Anti-Sphere. Payday 2 got 8 new masks, though only 2 were free, and you would have to buy the game in order to obtain the remaining 6. However, people began to find a set of 4 materials and 4 patterns inside the game files. These were never added, and frankly, we never may, considering the Anti-Sphere game isn't really that popular. And hey, you probably didn't even know about the game until just now, because I certainly didn't. Drill Break Formula. In essence, the drills and saws don't break as randomly as you think. Each break is set in groups of 3, and will be decided as soon as you place a drill. If you have a random break in the first third of the drill time, you can expect 2 more at each third of the progression. A break halfway, and you get 1 more coming at the last third. No matter what, barring a few exceptions like the door drills in Hoxton Breakout Day 2, all the Golden Green Casino drills, and the shipping containers on Bomb Dockyard, there will always be at least a single random break during the last third of the time needed for drilling. If you're still confused, then may I direct you to this video made by Random Kenny and the complete guide to drills. Shacklethorn is a H.P. Lovecraft novel. The Shacklethorn auction is based off a Lovecraft short story called The Terrible Old Man, where 3 robbers try to take the treasure of an old house. Further Lovecraft references includes Duke being afraid the guests will quote-unquote smell like fish, which is a reference to the deep ones in the story, the shadow over the inn's mouth, and Locke commenting on rats being in the walls, which could be a reference to the Rats in the Wall story. The Lone Wolf 4chan Conspiracy. Just after things started to blow up over CrimeFest 2015, but before the announcements of the drills, a poster over at the /v board on 4chan laid out nearly everything that was coming out with CrimeFest 2015, all the while using a lone wolf as a picture with every post, and with heavy implication that it was Ulf Andersson, the voice of Wolf, who had just left Overkill and shortly afterwards announced he no longer had anything to do whatsoever with Payday for the future. This was a pretty set in stone theory, considering everything they got right, but it's still debated considering the poster stated there would be bonuses on armor which wouldn't happen for another 2 years. The crew started 2 apocalypses. Since No Mercy is now 100% canon, we can say for sure that the crew unleashed the virus that caused Left 4 Dead, but they may have caused a second one in the possible timeline with a regular ending, as we have now given a secret society the power to control the world, and considering they summoned the Nephilim, it doesn't seem too good. Missing HRT units. Between waves and sometimes mixed in with them on the Overkill difficulty or above, there used to be a hostage response team units with less armor than heavy response units, but did more damage. They were mostly removed after update number 109.1, but a few can still be found in scripted sequences, and Bane will still remark that the hostage rescue team is coming in between waves, even though none can be found on the map. The Lucille Countdown. In 2018, Overkill launched a website that had nothing but a big countdown clock on it. Every day as it was ticking, different noises would change, and at first many people thought it was something big, maybe a new heist or a heister, or even a brand new skill tree. But nope, the countdown ended and it was just the announcement for the Lucille baseball bat melee weapon. Hostages can save you. In the pre-update number 100 version, the Stockholm Syndrome skill will give you a chance to interact with civilians while downed and have them bring you back up. The only problem was the civilians couldn't be cable tied. That means any non-hostage civilians could revive you, so you can probably imagine why this was reworked. The diamond is used as a part of the Golden Green Casino drill. The storyline feature from the Lock and Load update has some rather questionable additions, including this. When loading up to the Golden Brick Casino, it describes the BFD as the biggest ever with a diamond on the tip. This, of course, makes no damn sense, considering the BFD is a plasma cutter without a physical drill tip. Ulf did not lose his voice. This is one of the more well-known rumors in relation to Payday 2. After the release of the 2014 Christmas Carol video, Wolf did not get any major voice lines added to the game because he had actually damaged his vocal cords due to screaming his lines during the carol. But this was confirmed to be fake, as Wolf's voice actor himself said that he never lost his voice at all. President Bane, if you solve the Payday 2 secret and get through the end, it is implied the machine at the end can switch bodies or possibly fuse souls, and to evade death and finish the greatest heist of all time, Bane swaps bodies with the Commander-in-Chief. That's why his last words during the secret cutscene are Bane's infamous "let's do this" as a sign to the crew that he had pulled it off, which, yes, has been confirmed to be the case. The Black Dozer's old shotgun. When first introduced, the Black Dozer had a modified ISMA shotgun with a drum magazine instead of the straight magazines we used. This was changed to the straight magazine shortly after many people asked Overkill for drum magazines, and they stated they couldn't be added due to the engine's limitations at the time. The Trollface lawsuit threat. To heap onto the pile that was CrimeFest 2015, while the fan base was exploding and Overkill had daggers at their throats, they also had a lawsuit at their doorstep from Carlos Ramirez's representatives demanding they take down the freshly added Trollface mask, which at the time was called Baitface in the game. And on top of everything, they had to swiftly throw in the Funny Man mask with no explanation. But not only that, they also had to go back into Payday the Heist and replace Dallas's Trollface mask with the Funny Man mask as well. Hoxton's prison had arts and crafts. I mean, how else would you explain where he got his mask from? Matt Roscoe is an agent of the Kataru. In the briefing of Heat Street, Locke says that an agent of an unknown organization has information that is going to put an end to the Payday gang, and when we reach Matt, he has information on Kento. Now, to have info on Kento, Matt had to at least have had contacts with Murky Water, but he also has information that could kill us, according to Locke. Plus, him saying you don't know what's coming for you in the safe house is a pretty big flag that Matt does in fact know what's behind the Murkies. The unknown organization is unknown to the crew, but Locke and Bane already knew about Kataru at this point in time and said it was unknown to protect the crew the same way they did later on in Alaskan Deal. Plus, Heat Street can be seen as the start of all the series of events that culminated with a secret ending, if Matt was in fact someone from Kataru. Hoxton Revenge was the third day of Hoxton Breakout. The asset files related to Hoxton Revenge are all tagged with the reference string Hox_3, while both maps of Hoxton Breakout are .Hox_1 and Hox_2 respectively. This could very much mean that Hoxton Revenge was going to be the third day of Hoxton Breakout before ultimately becoming its own contract. The yacht heist is from Payday the Heist. The yacht heist has existed in some form for a long time. Several internal files referencing the heist has existed since the game launched, and similar strings could be found by unpacking the asset package from Payday the Heist as well. This hints at the possibility of a similar heist being cut from the first game before having its assets recycled into this final iteration. Old stealth mechanics. Early on in Payday 2, stealth was much easier to do and the 4-guard alarm system wasn't implemented. Dominated guards would not activate their pager, so in Heist, where guards are isolated like framing frame day 1, you could just dominate the guards and steal the paintings without having to deal with the additional guard spawns in. Also at the time, you had to have a skill to answer a third pager, so everyone just went with guard domination. You could very easily dominate all the guards in framing frame day 3 and just walk the gold up the steps with no issues. It wasn't really that fun though, so I suppose it's good that Overkill changed this up. PDG Shan. PDG Shan is the mascot for the /PDG board on 4chan. You may recognize the face of the character as that of the kawaii mask in Payday 2. Payday Circle Jerk came up with Houston's name. On the Payday Circle Jerk subreddit, there is a post from 6 years ago before the Hoxton to Houston name change that's a suggestion to call the old Hoxton for Hoxton and the new Hoxton for Houston. And well, that ended up happening. Oh, and by the way, this isn't the last time we are going to be talking about the subreddit. Hoxton's real name is Bodhi. As stated in the A Merry Payday Christmas album, Hoxton's lawyer calls him Bodhi, and that pisses him enough to turn off the recording. Yeah, that's kinda it. Forcing 4 sets of chemicals in Hotline Miami. There's a whole guide about this, but the basic jig of this is that by opening the crates in the basement of the motel on Hotline Miami Day 1 in a specific order, you can force the game to always spawn a 4th set of chemicals, meaning you can make 4 bags of securable meth. The Dreaming Temple. This is a direct story time and something never fully dwelled into. The dentist's plan for activating the alien machine under the White House first requires 4 seals to be destroyed, the places where 4 portals would open. We know where 3 of them are in real life: the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Great Ziggurat, and the Pyramid of the Sun. However, the first one he successfully destroys is odd, a dreaming temple in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Considering the direct references to Lovecraft just before this and the name Dreaming Temple, this could have been something akin to the sleeping city of Rilla beneath the waves, which is the home of Cthulhu. So now not only do we have the cops and the Nephilim after us, but now we also have some Lovecraftian gods. Firestarter Day 1 Stealth. Unlike the counterfeit heist I talked about earlier, Firestarter Day 1 can still be completed on stealth, though it won't grant you any stealth bonuses. However, due to the heist technically not being a stealth heist, that means whenever someone is killed and has a pager, the mission will automatically go loud. Bags leaked money. Part of a thread involving the previously mentioned tragedy, someone asked if there were any weird bits of Payday trivia, and she responded saying that Bags leaked money in earlier builds when they were shot, but considering the number of bullets flying by the later difficulties, this was removed for obvious reasons. The Moscone was the original sniper rifle. Very early on in Payday 2's life cycle, the closest things we had to a sniper rifle were the M308 assault rifle and the Moscone shotgun. The Moscone did insane damage, but also had a weird glitch. No matter what, one pellet would always travel straight from the barrel lined up with the head. As mentioned before, with the wonky shotgun damage system, that meant you always had one pellet traveling perfectly straight down range with 100% accuracy, doing enough damage to one-shot most non-bulldozer enemies, plus a spread that could take out others. Heisters can lift over 400 pounds. Alright, time for some quick math. The ICTV armor weighs about 80 pounds, the minigun also weighs about 80 pounds, and RPG weighs about 15 pounds. If they are carrying a body in their body bag, throw on the average weight of an adult male, and that's another 200 pounds. A full set of javelins is another 6 pounds, and the sentries weighs at least 30 pounds. That's about 400 pounds to lift. Do you even lift, you wanker? The final heist is stealing the White House / the USA. So by this point, if you're this deep down, you have a full grasp of the story and what has happened. Then it has fully sunk in that Bane is now the president. Not only that, but he can now trade bodies with every new president. The body swapper is still under the White House, he can still use it at any time. The crew has effectively stolen both the White House itself and America forever. Tournament Edition. A series of Payday 2 tournaments were held for real money with $1,000 given daily at DreamHack, TwitchCon, and Infogamer Reboot in 2016, running a modified build of Payday 2. This build had you racing through a special standalone version of the Slaughterhouse heist and was focused on speedrunning. What is interesting about this is that the build made it so there were no RNG with item spawns, which meant that every run was exactly the same for the sake of fairness and ran at a difficulty higher than Death Wish. Even more interesting was that the second run of the tournament was planned but never came to fruition, which featured $10,000 each day and a standalone day 2 of Hoxton Breakout, which was mislabeled as Hoxton Revenge. The meth formula is salt water. In Payday 2, the way you make meth is by combining 3 formulas: hydrogen chloride, caustic soda, and muriatic acid. Hydrogen chloride has the chemical formula HCl, same with muriatic acid, and caustic soda had the formula of NaOH. Combining them in this order won't make you meth, but rather just salt water. Judging that what comes out is kinda white and powdery looking, we probably skimmed out the salt. Somehow. Secret Special Spawn Table. Have you ever played a specific heist where you feel like there's an unusual amount of cloakers, like way more of them than shields or bulldozers? But then you go to another heist and there's less cloakers but way more tasers? Well, there is a belief that certain heists will spawn more of a specific special enemy than others. This doesn't seem to happen anymore, though it most likely was just a glitch. Both endings are canon. A part of the community argues that the end and offshore Payday are both canon. The crew completes the secret and Bane takes the place of the president before dying. Let me explain. Having taken the place of the president, Bane can pardon all the Payday members, and a major part of them wants to distance himself from the crime world, as we see in the Rumors and Stories video. The corpse of Bane is buried somewhere in Mexico, where the crew members throw their masks in the grave to signify the death of the criminal persona, or most of them anyway, and after that they can live their life as they want without having to deal with their criminal history. Bile's secret. Our trusty old pilot's name and face actually came from a community member of the same name who solved a hidden second secret in Undercover in Payday the Heist, while everyone else was focused on the big overdrill secret. Following a few references to the film Hackers, he traced a big neon pink arrow pointing out to a sign which reads Tenningen & Co. After a quick Google search, Bile found a sign telling him to call Mr. Anderson, who was Bo Anderson, and after shooting him an email and asking about the shop leasing, he got back an email from Mr. Wilson, who is Mitchell's neighbor in the counterfeit heist, asking him if he wanted to be a helicopter pilot. The In Limbo Scarface remake. This is the reason the Scarface DLC had to be taken down. It was originally made as a cross-promotion for a remake of the Scarface movie, but due to the movie barely being produced, it fell through, though Overkill got the go-ahead to release the DLC anyways, and everything was fine, until the movie went back into production and Universal had Overkill take down the DLC. Fortunately, if you bought the DLC before it got removed, you can still play as Scarface to this day. Fire death screams. If you use a flammable weapon like a flamethrower or Molotov and throw it at an enemy, if you listen to the death scream as they burn to death, it sounds real, or rather too real. As in, maybe Overkill went and got recordings of actual people being set on fire. Of course, this hasn't been proven, and honestly, it's probably just the voice actors doing their job incredibly well. Baldwin coding flag in Harvest and Trustee. In the Harvest and Trustee heists, or more specifically the different bank heists, if you open the deposit boxes in order to spell the name Baldwin, as in you first open all the deposit boxes under B, then A and L and so on, a flag is activated in game. However, this does absolutely nothing to the game, and it's possible that this could have been used for some sort of secret, though that secret hasn't been really figured out. Ancient Heisters Theories. During the Henry's Rock heist, when you pop open the Ark of the Covenant, the button around the Ark can be interacted with to uncover 4 heavily aged masks that are more or less identical to those of the 4 main members of the Payday gang, and considering it would be around 3,000 years old, there's a few theories. The Payday gang could be the latest in a long line of heisters dueling against the Kataru, The timeline with the dentist winning leaves 4 open mysterious portals, and one theory says the heisters used those to travel back in time but overshot. One theory is that an oracle in the past saw into the future, placing those masks in the ark as a sign of those who will technically save the world, which could also explain why the dentist is after the crew. Cloakers have guns. If you asked a few Payday 2 players about what the cloaker uses for a weapon, chances are they'll just say the baton they use to beat you down. While that isn't entirely untrue, the cloakers do have and use a baton. Some players tend to forget that cloakers can actually shoot you too. If you're curious to know what type of gun the cloakers use, then that would be a very modified version of the compact 5 submachine gun. So modded in fact, some of the mods on it can't even be equipped if you try to recreate the cloaker's gun. Do not look at the Titan Dozer. In the second safe house nightmare heist featuring the headless Titan Dozers, you can sheath them pretty easily by just not looking at them at all. If you keep your head down, you can wait out the drill in the corner because the headless Titan Dozers only attack you if you are in their line of sight. Payday Circle Jerk predicted the traitor. Once again, going back to the Payday 2 Circle Jerk subreddit, there was a post made there of someone simply saying "Who the rat?" to which the poster wrote, "I think it's Hector because he has a heist called Rats." A few months later, it turned out that Hector was indeed the rat. Did Overkill take from this? Who knows, but it's fun to imagine so. Malicious Carrot's disappearance. Just like Mario in a top hat, Malicious Carrot was a YouTuber who primarily made Payday 2 videos, most of which being shitposts. However, sometime last year, or rather a few months ago in 2020, Malicious Carrot deleted his YouTube channel and kinda just vanished for a little while. More on that later. Secret symbol on Biker Heist. On the Biker Heist, if you go over to the ruined bunker site and look at on the side for one of the pillars, you can find the symbol painted on it. The same symbol can be found behind the Cursed One mask. And that's kinda all we got for this. Yeah, the symbol has absolutely nothing to follow off it. Hector was the overdrill buyer / contractor. Hector's first mention in Payday canon dates back to Payday the Heist, when Bane notified the successful heisters that Senior Hector is eager to close his deal. We will meet up with his right-hand man in DC next year to test the grounds and fence the gold. The gold, of course, being the overdrill. Negative detection on the Arkansas toothpick. In 2015, for a short time, there was an accidental error made to the Arkansas toothpick melee weapon that changed the concealment rate for the weapon from a default 30 to 230. That meant you would always have a base detection rate of 3% if you equipped it. That meant you could go into stealth heists with grenade launchers, RPGs and miniguns without increasing the detection rate even a little bit. The glitch was fixed just a few days after it was found. The Last Stand canon connection. The Last Stand is a community-made DLC endorsed by Valve for the game Left 4 Dead 2. The campaign acts as an alternative ending to the game where the survivors took a wrong turn and makes a last stand against the unstoppable horde. So what exactly does this have to do with Payday? Well, in the house next to the lighthouse, this little message can be found on one of the walls. This could mean that Left 4 Dead takes place sometime after the events of Payday. This is not confirmed, though since the lighthouse can be seen in the promotional image for the DLC, there is a possibility. The Commissar is 2 bulldozers in a trench coat. If you activate the Hydra mutator and kill the boss enemies, 2 bulldozers will spawn in their place, so that means that when you finally kill the Commissar, 2 bulldozers will spawn immediately, which of course must mean that the Commissar is just 2 bulldozers dressed in a trench coat. Malicious Carrot's return. Yep, Malicious Carrot didn't stay gone for too long. He can occasionally be seen streaming on Twitch, and when it comes to his YouTube channel, well, nobody really knows, though there have been certain channels that have archived some of his older videos. Manipulating spawns and AI with bad CPU. Fun trick most of the community doesn't know about. The number of spawns and how quickly they react is 100% based on the CPU of the host. If you have someone running an amazing CPU, you're getting faster responses on everybody with more cops overall. Have the host running on a crappy laptop, and while they might have trouble playing, the whole lobby gets only a few cops total that takes a few seconds to respond to seeing heisters. Duke is a time traveler. In the FBI files, there is a letter from 1905 written by August Lindenhurst, and August Lindenhurst are Duke's initials. There's apparently a mummy with Duke's name on it as well in the diamond heist, but I couldn't find out where exactly they got that from. But unless it's an August the 1st, August the 2nd sort of deal, it looks very much like Duke is from the past, or could even be doing the exact same thing as the dentist. White Chains. The animated series was real. In 2018, Overkill released a video showing what looked like a trailer for an upcoming animated show about the Payday crew, and the video was animated by YouTuber Harry Partridge. Ultimately, it was just one of those April Fool's pranks that Overkill tends to do, but that didn't stop people from thinking that this was going to be a real show at one point, either before or after the April Fool's video. This mostly stems from Harry himself asking Overkill if he could make an actual fully animated series, but nothing came of it. This hasn't been proven or denied as far as I'm aware. Medic drones. A infamous thread that went sour. Someone on the Steam forums dropped a 6-paragraph rant on how Payday 2 needed medic drones, just like Tom Clancy's Wild Lands, so you could inspire people without actually speccing into the inspire skill. The moderator shot the idea down, the user got mad, which then made the moderators mad, and he was eventually banned. Every lobby is a split reality. When I first read this on the Iceberg, I thought it meant that 2 separate players could play a certain heist at the exact same time, but not together in the same lobby. But the description left by VeggieBLT was more elaborate. So, the desync is something infamous that happens due to the diesel engine in every lobby, and is a reason why stealth is always a gamble for players other than the host. But it gets better, or worse, it just depends how you look at it. In Art Gallery, for example, when you try to throw the bags through the little windows in the top of the halls, sometimes a painting can appear in 2 different positions from the host and other players, with all the fun stuff that can happen due to that, and in that case, only the host can merge the 2 realities back together. Vlad is the 3rd king. We know that the dentist and the elephant are 2 of the 3 kings. The 3rd one is sort of in the air, but it's presumed to be Vlad. Multiple times in the story, he suddenly gains connections to higher criminal empires he has no right being attached to. And it's implied that was why he sent us to do the meltdown job to steal the nukes. The elephant and the dentist were playing him like a fool the whole time, and when he realized what was going on, he brought us the diamonds so we could stop the Kataru for good. Adding to the evidence is the dentist outright saying to us, "Send my regards to Kozak," meaning he directly knows Vlad, and while Bane is being transported by Loke, one of his lines is "Dentist, Elephant, Sputnik," and Duke's dream where a gorgeous woman told him the scribe, or the 3rd king, guardian with a silver sphere, returns. The silver sphere just like a Sputnik. Rust is transgender. Yeah, this sounds like a meme, but hear me out. As a part of the biker heist, you get Rust's throwing axe as a throwable weapon, and if you look closely on it, you can see a symbol on it. With some careful Google search, it's the symbol of Mercury, and a very common symbol used by transgender people. So this could very much come down to one of 2 things. Either Rust was born between April 19th and May 20th, or Rust is transgender. Now, I could just say this is just some random mark on the axe, but this really doesn't feel random at all. The Unsolved Undercover Secret. This could be the same as Bio's secret, but according to the Guide of Bane page 47, I just know there is something wrong with the undercover job that we did. Maybe it wasn't the job itself, maybe it was the city. This could mean that there is something extra we missed in Undercover, apart from Bile's secret, considering it was solved long before the Guide of Bane was released, or it could have been a hint to this being Bane's first hint at what's beneath the White House. Community member Bloodbeast X18 also recorded the lights on undercover that were flicking weirdly as a possibility for something like Morse code, as well as the taxman attempting to go through a boarded up hole in the wall before turning back to his main path. When people started calling this out, we simply got a winky face response back from Almir. Last Bullet's 10k heist. LastBullet.net was at one point the most popular site where you could download mods for Payday 2. The people who ran the site were given $10,000 by Overkill, but Last Bullet never had access to that money as it was in the bank account that belonged to AJ Valentine, who is now a former member of Last Bullet. So in short, drama ensued. AJ called one of the head moderators of the site named Tuts a Nazi, not because he was one, but because he was just German. AJ would then leave Last Bullet with the money, never to have said money be seen by anyone ever again. There are generally two possible outcomes that happen to the money. Possibility one being that AJ simply kept the money. The other one, however, is that some say that he donated to some sort of charity organization, though I couldn't find proof on that. By the way, don't go to the Last Bullet website. It is just filled with viruses now, and the team behind Last Bullet did rebrand themselves as modworkshop.net, so go there instead if you want some mods. Cut suicide bomb vests. At one point during the development and planning phase of Payday 2, there were plans for converted cops, or Joker cops, to have bombs strapped to them by the players, and presumably would have been given the ability to detonate the bomb whenever you wanted to. This obviously didn't make it into the final game, though I did read that there are supposed screenshots of some extremely early builds of the game showing the strapping animation, but I couldn't find any. The crew is wanted for jaywalking and littering. On the FBI files of the different Payday heisters, you can view a list of crimes that they are wanted for. Some obvious entries include destruction of private property, currency counterfeiting, and armed robbery amongst many other. However, there are two specific sets of crimes that is just so funny once you first realize it. Among the vast list of heinous crimes, they are also wanted for jaywalking and littering. Yup, they are that much of a menace. The original Payday 2 secret. We know that the secret for the second game was thought about by Overkill from the start, with references to it in the Guide of Bane, and with some strange details present in maps all the way to Golden Grain Casino. But after that started a period of about 2 years with nothing new on the secret front. After that we got new info in the form of the Kataru mails to Garrett, but it's safe to say that considering all that happened between these two moments and how the secret played out in the end, the original secret was scrapped a long time ago, and Wordsmith had to do with what he had to complete his treasure hunt in a satisfying manner. So what was the original ending? I don't know, maybe we would have finally figured out what Sydney's natural hair color is. Payday connects all fictional media. Word of Almir states that every DLC and every crossover is canon. This extends most obviously to John Wick, who is also in Fortnite, which then extends to Marvel and Star Wars canon, and now also Halo. Let's go back to Payday. The entire Tarantino-verse is included through the Reservoir Dogs. The big one besides John Wick to Fortnite is Left 4 Dead, which now adds in the entire Valveverse, Resident Evil, and Minecraft. So basically, Payday 2 is real. Dallas Beta voice. This one is just downright cursed. Dallas had a different voice actor portraying him, and well, it's safe to say that if they kept this voice, Dallas would look completely different to the player.
Drop it! Keep them hands visible!
It seems like Dallas was originally supposed to have a more Texan accent, which would make sense since he is named Dallas, you know, kind of like the city in Texas. It also sounds like he was going to be voiced by Eric Adabari, the same man who portrayed him in Payday 2 and the web series, but that ultimately fell through and ended up being voiced by Sam Kier, the same man who voiced Dallas in Payday the Heist. I have no idea if any of Dallas's beta voice lines were archived or saved by someone, but it also doesn't seem like we'll ever get the clearance of why Eric didn't voice him in the end. Could just be Eric and Overkill not coming to terms money-wise. And that was the Payday 2 Iceberg. I hope you guys really enjoyed that video. I know that it is like a few months later after the final version of the Iceberg actually came out, but you know, procrastination, no motivation, you know, that kind of things, they're not too kind on you when you want to make stuff. But of course, I finally ended up doing it because nobody else did. I mean, actually, during the production of the video, I actually did find 2 Payday 2 Iceberg explanation videos on YouTube, but one, they are spoken in Spanish, I believe, and I don't speak Spanish. And 2, it seems like those 2 are more like meme stuff, and I hope that this video was more informative and, I guess in a way, interesting. Undoubtedly, there are some stuff in this video that I've gotten wrong, or things that I could have talked about or given more information about. And if that's the case, please let me know in the comments. Also, if you know about some other stuff that should have been on this Iceberg, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I may actually end up making a follow-up video to this because, well, I may want to make some corrections and explain something a bit more, and at the same time make some new additions. If you enjoyed this video and you feel like my channel is worth sticking around and subscribing to, then, you know, subscribe. Maybe like this video, maybe share, maybe, I don't know. Also, this may not be the only Iceberg I make. I actually really enjoyed making this. And after having looked around the internet for a little bit, especially the Iceberg Short subreddit, there are some other stuff that I would love to talk about. Not probably in relation to video games, but, you know, stuff that I enjoy talking about. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you liked this video, or you liked the channel rather. Like this video if you liked it. Comment below if you want me to explain some stuff more, or want to make an addition to the Iceberg, or correct me in any way. And with that, I'll see you all later. Goodbye.